Hi, I'm Alicia Lykos from Red Wolf Group, and we're here to talk to you a little bit today about how you can leverage insights and behavioral data into driving business results. Now, there is irrefutable evidence that data and science helps you make better quality decisions in your workplace. If you think about your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, you are using data to make decisions. Yet, for some reason, when it comes to it, the people side of our business, we're using a lot of gut instinct and intuition and kind of feel like we're winging it most of the time. However, people data can bring enormous value to your organization. It can allow you to bring your confidence in to making more effective decisions based on data and really predicting the likely outcome based on knowing more about your workforce. Now, there is a huge amount of evidence to say that people data and making data driven decisions will lead to better quality results, whether it's better retention, better engagement. You can personalize the learning and development journey for people, which leads to better engagement. You can be attracting better quality candidates and leading to better quality outcomes in the recruitment process. So, we should be using more data when it comes to people. However, a lot of companies get nervous and think, well, it's too complicated for me. However, here at Red Wolf Group, we've helped organizations with as few as 10 staff use Predictive Index to get more data on their people. And we've helped organizations all the way up to 1,500 people. So everyone and every organization can use data in a really simple way to build their confidence to make better quality decisions. Now, there are a huge amount of challenges you face every day as a leader in your organization. It could be hiring challenges and trying to get the right people into those roles and making a lot of gut instincts. It could be teams miscommunicating. It could be you've promoted managers who are now not performing because they were technically brilliant but don't have the right skills. It could be there's a lack of productivity or accountability, which may be impacting engagement. You might have personality clashes where people are not getting along. It could be that you've got performance challenges and people are not really working at their best capability and you're not getting the results you need. It could be that you've got change resistance in your workforce. You're trying to drive change and you've got people who are digging their heels in. And lastly, you're probably facing development demands. People are wanting more career development and you just don't know how to tackle that. These are all things we can support you with a foundation of people data from Predictive Index, along with other programs. So, at the core, we would say we recommend you have this people strategy, and it's our 10-step people strategy. And you can see right in the middle, we've got our core, and that's your culture. We need to get really clear on who you are as an organization, what your culture is, your origin, the reality employees face every day, and what their experiences will be. And we do that through helping you design your employee value proposition. It could be your purpose or even your values. Once you're clear on that, that allows us to go and attract people to your organization, design the roles. It helps us inspire your workforce and agree on those values. And also, we can grow and develop talent. Now, what I want to talk to you today is actually about the bottom piece, the data and assessments that need to sit underneath that so you can make better quality decisions and have more confidence there. But where do you start? Great, I've got to build a people strategy. I've never done one of those before. How do I start? Well, the first place is look at the data. What are your employees telling you? Hear the voice of the people. So you need data. And the best way to do that is to understand where the disengagement and where the issues are coming from. There are technically four reasons why people get disengaged, and we call them the four forces of disengagement. The first one is job. How do I feel about my job? Sometimes we recruit people and they actually don't enjoy the job. They don't have the skills, they don't have the traits, they don't feel empowered, they don't have the resources. They actually just don't enjoy the job. They were a bad fit in the first place. Then we look at the management capability. Sometimes you like your job, but your manager doesn't actually have the skills to coach and develop you and help you grow and remove those roadblocks. And then we've got teams. I might like my job and my manager, but I'm working with people I just can't get along with. Or as a team, we don't resolve conflict, or actually we're in conflict with other teams. And lastly, disengagement can come from how people feel about the organization, the confidence in the leadership team, the direction and strategy of the organization. So you as an organization need to know how people feel about those four categories. And this is why Predictive Index have archetyped their survey around these four main categories. Now, you can see here on our disengagement curve, the majority of the workforce do come to work because they have to. And we see them right on the bottom there of, well, I have to come to work. Gallup data would indicate that is the majority of the global workforce. What we do want to do is we want to drive engagement. Engagement, as you know, I don't need to tell you, it leads to better quality results, to performance, to high levels of engagement, and higher quality workers for you. Now, we need to make sure that they're engaged, and we do that through understanding how they feel about their job, manager, team, and the organization. Now, when you do the Predictive Index engagement survey, I'm not going to get into the details, but what it will give you is this fantastic dashboard of each manager and their team's results. So you can start to see how they're feeling at that high level. Each manager is actually given a comprehensive report straight out of the system, which looks at how their team responded to every question, as long as they've got more than 5 direct reports. Now, that's really helpful, but data's only helpful if you can truly understand it. Now, I'm going to show you what we call our heat map. Now, me and my team do this for you. We pull out the data file and we just manipulate it a few different ways so we can build you this heat map. And now we can start to look at every question across all of your different demographic groups. Now, this might seem like a lot, but leave it up to us, because what we do is we actually go and facilitate workshops with each team. Typically, you'll pick which group, and it might be 5 or 6 teams. And we run workshops for you to understand this in more depth. So we identify those pockets, we talk through them. So what this helps us do is pinpoint that level of disengagement and pinpoint where you need to be focused as a CEO, executive group, or even create a special group that really focuses on areas of the business. Rather than doing lots of blanket approaches, we can get really focused on what's going on in your business and how we're going to solve this problem. And this is a great question that we have a look at and has a look. We can help understand who might be your higher risk demographic blocks and what we need to do to address that. So we have a real process when it comes to this phase, and it's not as complex as people think. They think, oh, this is going to take months and months. In fact, no, we try and run it over a 12-week period from the day we launch the survey all the way through to it's finished and it's now embedded in our strategy. So the first thing we do is obviously launch the survey, and that takes us from unaware to aware. Now you're aware of what's going on in your business once you get that data. You might be aware, but you may not actually understand it. Oh, what do they mean by that? And why is this question so low compared to others? Well, that's why we run those workshops and hear the voice of the people, and we put some context to it. And then we build a summary report that's given to the executive team to say, here are the key themes, and here are your actions, and here are our recommendations. And we don't try and overcomplicate it for you. We want your managers to then embody and take it forward. It's not up to just the executive team. We want managers at all layers and even the team members themselves to drive some of the change. And then we reassess in 12 months' time, ultimately trying to elevate those results across the entire business. Now, here's an example of a client of ours who did the engagement survey last year. Now, you can see the results here at a top level, really quite healthy, all up in the 80s, bar that organization score. And they also didn't have a lot of staff. People often say to us, well, I don't have 100 people. I don't need to run a survey. If you've got more than 20 staff, we're encouraging you to run this so you can get a real pulse check of what's going on in your business. Now, at a top level, you might go, great, we're doing fine. But as we dug into the heat map, we absolutely did find pockets of areas of concern for people. And when we ran 3 different team workshops. It wasn't obviously a very large organization. And we then presented it back with 3 key findings of what the business needed to focus on. And we developed an action plan for them, which was quite straightforward to follow. And you can see this allowed them to now have more confidence in their people strategy and what they should be focusing on, which often it's quite hard to know, well, where do I focus? Do I just listen to the loudest voices or not? Now we've got to think about, well, now we've got data on our organization. Let's have a look at the teams within our business. Predictive Index has a powerful component, which is what we call team discovery. We can look at individuals within a team once they've done their behavioral assessment and map them into this wheel. As you can see here, we've got a team type. This is incredibly powerful to be running group sessions and helping people learn more about each other, resolving conflict, improving the way they're communicating, collaborating, building action plans as a team. There is so much value that can be extracted from what you're seeing here, and it's very, very intuitive in the system. So you can either do self-guided as a team, or you can have us come in and support you through that process. But we don't want you to think, great, team dynamics, done, tick, move on. We actually think you can use it in multiple different ways. We can start to have a look at, well, we've got two different teams, and these teams aren't getting along. And very quickly, you can start to see, well, they've got different ways of working, and their conflicts are going to turn up in terms of one team being very proactive and one team being a little bit more resistant to change. So we can use it to really compare teams and resolve conflict through those conversations. Here's an example of an executive team that we've been working with. And those purple lines you can see there is actually their strategy. So in the tool, you can actually select your company's strategic priorities for the company or for an individual team. Now we can start to see, well, is this team well suited to deliver on this strategy? And more importantly, what do we need to do if we're not? And this has created a fantastic foundation for this executive team to go, you know what? We haven't operated in this teamwork employee experience quadrant for so long. And now our strategy is so weighted there because it's been such a weakness of ours as a group. And you can see why. No one's motivated to operate in that quadrant. So we're now able to develop clear action plans with this executive team and chip away at it over a 6-12 month period to really make sure that we can deliver on our strategy and deliver results. And lastly, in terms of teams, we can actually look at your entire organization and all the different team types. And here's an organization that had a similar amount of people, had about 40 staff in total. You can actually see when you look at these teams, primarily the business sits on the left-hand side of the wheel. This group or organization, a little bit resistant to change. They're very thoughtful, very caring, very harmonious, and really team-orientated. Now, the executive team that's driving this business is almost the polar opposite to the rest of their workforce. So they're thinking, you know what, we've said something once, everyone should get on board, and they've moved on to the next thing, but the rest of the business hasn't actually caught up to them. So when we drove that discussion with them, it was just an absolute aha moment. This is telling us why we've had the challenges. But more importantly, now we can work with them on how do we resolve that? How do we understand our workforce and move them forward? Because we can do that in a really respectful way that plays to their strengths. Now, then we can also start to look at role design. So yes, we have a particular tool that helps us profile a role. And once we've done that, we can map that into the wheel here. And my team helps with that, where you can say, this is where the role sits. Where does the rest of the team sit? Where do my candidates sit? So we can use this team discovery wheel throughout the recruitment process. There is so much value to be extracted out of team discovery for you as a leader in your organization. When it comes to recruitment, one of the biggest challenges is trying to get the right person into that role. Now, potentially you've been familiar with using some sort of testing throughout your journey as a leader of your business, but typically what we hear is a lot of organizations using assessments at the very end of their process. So I've got 2 final candidates, I'd like to do some testing on them. Now, at this stage, it's already too late, and it's really, we can't use that interview period to interview and ask curious questions. The big differentiator around PI is it's used at the very beginning of the process. We can profile the role and get really clear on what we're looking for. What does your business need? What is the requirements of the role? Is the role really repetitive and meticulous? Or actually, we need this role to be really working well in ambiguous situations. Getting clear on the role is the most important. And then we're going to see the candidate's alignment to that. And a good example is when you start to look at even sales roles. It's not like all sales roles are equal. In fact, this is the profile of what we call a new business development role. This is a go-getter, proactive, self-driven, self-motivated, proactive, relationship-focused. But this is different to an account manager who might be, yes, socially driven, but they're going to make sure that the deal is done to a really high standard. We can't sell them more work if we haven't delivered on the previous agreement. So we'd find these people being a little bit more particular, very, very service-orientated, and less assertive. Now, this is a huge difference in profile type in terms of what you're looking for. The power of PI is that you can profile those roles, get agreement with your managers, and then we're going to use that at the very beginning of your process and screen all of your candidates because at the end of the day, PI is unlimited use. Now we can start to see, great, I've got my job profile here in those orange bands, and here is 3 candidates, and I can very quickly and easily see their behavioral scores on the left, and I can see their cognitive match to the job as well. Again, we've got more content on the ins and outs of all of this. However, just at a big picture, hopefully you're starting to see the value of this. And we know that when we get people who are really well aligned to their roles, we see higher engagement, higher performance, less turnover. because these people just get to be themselves, bring their strengths to work. They're not flexing and fighting with their own position. So, hopefully, this has been really helpful in showing you how you can use PI across that recruitment journey. This is actually where we see all of our clients seeing the largest return on investment is when they use it in that early stages of getting the right people in the door. And then the other things we're going to talk about is how do we then manage them and how do we then inspire them. Now you've got your head around the teams. Well, now we need to think about the managers in the business because they are your vehicle for making sure that your strategy can be executed on. But often managers are promoted without given the skills around people management. Here at Red Wolf Group, we actually have a sister company called Red Wolf Academy, which specializes in management and leadership development. And this is our architecture for management, which I think really encompasses the modern manager and what's expected of them. And you can see how comprehensive this is. Everything from needing to do business strategy and building capability in that business space, financial acumen. They need to know how to run a business or their department. They also need to know how to build competency in their team members. And in this ever changing environment, that is getting harder and harder to do. And lastly, they have to have credibility. And this is how they show up, how they have conversations, give feedback, performance manage, drive values. There is so much there for them to do. Now, we do have what we call our 3Cs management program, which is managed with confidence for our larger organizations who want us to run this privately in-house for them. However, for our other organizations who want to really leverage PI, get up on board really quickly, we've developed a management program that really helps managers use PI and take it back to work. We have found that using this learning wheel again, when we do predictive index training with your managers, we can get them from unaware, what is this? Like I've been asked to take this assessment, but what does it all mean? We can get them to be more aware. Great, I've now learned more a little bit about my own behaviors. So they attend a more PI intensive workshop. Great, I can understand someone's PI results. I can use my cheat sheets and map my team and I can read their behaviors and understand that. The challenge some managers have, particularly newer managers, is, well, how do I apply this? Because I actually don't even know how to give feedback. I don't know how to drive or negotiate conflict and resolve things in my team. So we found that to get them through this learning wheel, which is so important, we've had to develop a new leadership program, which we're calling the Leadership Odyssey. Now, this program, actually, you can see this is aligned to the people strategy. It helps them attract people into their team, build skills in recruitment, in interviewing, in onboarding. It also helps them develop skills in the Inspire pillar, which is giving feedback, driving performance conversations, leading their teams, using PI along with other management tools that we have in our toolkit to help them really lead and inspire their teams. And lastly, they're responsible for growing their talent. They've got to do development planning, they've got to do coaching, but unfortunately, we just haven't trained our managers in these skills. So through this program, over the 3 months, we're aiming to work across this entire circle with them. The differentiator with this program is that it is delivered primarily online, self-paced learning through a mobile-friendly app that we've built with lots of videos like this, but it also has this incredibly interactive workbook that they actually need to complete. And they've got to fill out sections on each person in their team. So they're building out what we call a playbook for how do I manage my team moving forward into the future? How do I recognize? How do I give feedback? How do I resolve conflict with this person when it shows up? And once they're filling that out, they can present that to you and present it to us. So we really know that they've gone on that learning journey. So that's our Leadership Odyssey program, which is in helping embed predictive index, but at the same time, elevating your management capability in your business, which is so critical in a hyper-changing work environment. But we can't forget about the individuals at all levels. So if we think about the organization, your teams, your managers, we do need to focus on the individuals. Now, there's so much for them to learn through taking their own predictive index behavioral assessment. This is sort of best practice. We'd encourage managers to obviously debrief that individual to learn more about themselves, to build their self-awareness, and we can do that through the behavior report. Managers are then encouraged to sit with them and go through that employee's management strategy guide. How do I bring the best out in you? How do I manage you in a way that you need? And this cheat sheet shows that manager how this person needs to be managed. This is a powerful tool. Then we've got development charts for individuals. So hopefully employees can self-select, well, these are my great strengths, but these are some areas I might need development in because under stress and pressure, I might have these other behaviors as well. So these things can be incorporated into their development plan. Then we can also have managers use it across different relationships. So a team member might say, I'm actually not getting along well with this individual. The manager can go in and show them and explain to them where that conflict might be coming from. And lastly, if you've profiled the roles in your organization, you can then actually align individuals and the managers can use that as a coaching tool as well. So you can see there's so many opportunities for an employee to get value in terms of their own professional development. Now, there's other ways we do that, and we're a big believer in education here. So, yes, education of our executives, our managers, but actually employees at every level. And we do that through our all hands workshops, which is all about how do you learn about predictive index and how you can look at the four factors and look at everyone in your team and use that when you're running meetings and collaborating and looking at the different styles in your group. We also have a huge amount of content on our YouTube channel, which we've developed specifically for our clients to really help make PI a common language in their business. So, all of this is available on the YouTube channel, totally complimentary for all of our clients. Now, we wanted to take it one step further. So, yes, we can give them some PI information, but we have seen an absolute push from the current workforce 2023 and beyond as really employees are wanting more. They're wanting more professional development. And they're seeing this as a real reason if they're going to stay or leave an employer. So, we have developed our 3A's program for an individual contributor. And this is building awareness, building agility, so helping them deal with change and letting them achieve. So getting them to set their own goals, do their own development planning. And so you can see through this architecture, we're addressing some absolute high demand skills that employees are pretty much demanding nowadays. And a lot of organizations are struggling to put something together for their entire workforce that covers these things instead of sending people off to one-day programs all over the place. This again creates a common language that is easily rolled out to your entire workforce, and it's made available to them through our Ruby platform, which is built on an LMS. And we give your staff access and they can go through that self-paced learning. We can give those reports back to you and show how much traction there's been. And we do a lot of assessments in there as well to make sure that they're learning along the way. So hopefully this has been a really good journey to show you how you can use one simple, powerful tool, the Predictive Index, across your entire employee journey, helping you deliver on your business strategy to get business results through having a more robust people strategy, which we're going to help you work through from the engagement survey all the way through into teams, managers, and individuals. So it's an all layered approach and really giving you the confidence to lead your organization into the future, which is so incredibly important. So I look forward to talking to you further and I look forward to answering all the questions that you have.